A quick way to send photos, videos, files. Something convenient. Something safe. But AirDrop only works when someone is close enough. Close enough to connect. Close enough to see you. Close enough to know exactly where you are. And sometimes, the person sending the file isn't who you think it is. These are 5 AirDrop horror stories that felt a little too real. Story 1. Accept. The AirDrop request appeared at exactly 11:42 p.m. I remember because I checked the time twice. The train was almost empty. It was the last service heading out of the city, and most people had already gotten off at earlier stops. Only a handful of passengers remained scattered throughout the carriage. I was sitting alone near the middle, headphones on, phone in my hand, trying to stay awake. The train rocked gently as it moved through the darkness outside. Everything felt normal. Then my phone vibrated. AirDrop request. Unknown sender. I frowned. I'd forgotten AirDrop was still set to everyone. Normally when random people sent AirDrops, it was stupid memes or blurry photos. Nothing worth worrying about. The preview showed an image. Out of curiosity, I tapped accept. The photo opened instantly. At first I didn't understand what I was looking at. Then my stomach tightened. It was a picture of the train carriage. This train carriage, taken from behind me. The angle suggested the photographer had been standing only a few rows away. I immediately looked around. Nothing. The closest passenger sat near the far end reading something on his phone. A woman sat across the aisle scrolling TikTok. Another man appeared asleep near the doors. Nobody seemed interested in me. I checked the timestamp. Taken 42 seconds earlier. My chest felt tight. Maybe it was an old photo. Maybe somebody was messing around. Then another AirDrop request appeared. Same sender. I hesitated before accepting. The second image loaded. This time there was no doubt. The photo showed me, sitting exactly where I was, headphones on, looking down at my phone, taken from somewhere behind me. I spun around immediately. Every passenger looked exactly the same as before. Nobody had moved. Nobody lowered a phone. Nobody reacted. The train continued rolling through the darkness. I declined the next request. A few seconds later another appeared. Then another. Then another. Each from the same sender. I rejected every one. The requests kept coming. Eventually the sender name changed. No longer unknown sender. Now it read, "Look behind you." My stomach dropped. I slowly turned. Nothing. Just empty seats stretching toward the back of the carriage. Then I noticed something strange. The door leading into the next carriage was slightly open. Only a few inches. Not enough to see through. Just enough to notice. I was almost certain it had been closed earlier. Another request arrived. This time I accepted it. The image loaded. My chest tightened instantly. It was a photograph of the back of my head. Much closer than before. Whoever took it couldn't have been more than a few feet away. I looked around again. Still nothing. The passengers remained exactly where they'd been. The woman scrolling. The sleeping man. The guy on his phone. Nobody else. My stop was still 20 minutes away. For the first time that night, I genuinely considered getting off early. Then another request appeared. The sender name changed again. Next carriage. I stared at it. My pulse quickened. The train entered a tunnel. The windows became mirrors. For a brief moment I could see the entire carriage reflected in the glass. And that's when I noticed someone, standing near the connecting door. A tall figure, motionless, watching. The second the train emerged from the tunnel, the reflection disappeared. I turned around. The space was empty. Nobody stood there. My heart hammered. Another AirDrop arrived. I accepted it. The image showed the exact reflection I'd just seen. The figure, the door, the position, everything. As if whoever was sending the photos knew exactly what I'd seen. I stood up. I'd had enough. I moved to another carriage. As soon as the doors closed behind me, my phone buzzed. AirDrop request. I didn't accept. Another appeared. Then another. The sender name now read, "Better view here." I looked around. This carriage was almost empty. Only 2 passengers. An elderly man asleep by the window, and a student with a laptop several rows ahead. Neither looked remotely suspicious. The next request appeared. Against my better judgment, I accepted it. The image loaded. My stomach turned. It was a photo of me walking between carriages less than 30 seconds earlier, taken from directly behind. I checked every seat, every corner, every reflection in the windows. Nothing. Nobody. No explanation. Then my phone vibrated again. Another image. This time it wasn't the train. It was outside. A street. A familiar street. My street. The road leading toward my house. The photo looked recent. Very recent. A timestamp sat in the corner. 11:54 p.m. Only 1 minute earlier. I stared at it, confused. There was no way someone could have taken that photo while also being on the train. Then another image arrived. The front of my house. Lights off. Curtains closed. Timestamp. 11:55 p.m. My stomach dropped. Then a final AirDrop request appeared. I accepted it with shaking hands. The image showed my bedroom window, taken from outside, directly outside. The timestamp read, 11:56 p.m. Underneath the photo was a caption. Just 6 words. Don't worry. I'm on the train too. That was my stop. The train slowed. The doors opened. And for the first time all night, every passenger stood up at exactly the same moment. Story 2. Shared with you. The photo appeared at 2:17 a.m. I remember the exact time because it woke me up. My phone buzzed loudly on my bedside table. At first I ignored it. Then it buzzed again. And again. Half asleep, I reached over and checked the screen. AirDrop request. Unknown sender. My stomach tightened slightly. Who airdrops people at 2 in the morning? I nearly declined it. Then I noticed something strange. The sender wasn't nearby. At least, I didn't think they were. I lived alone. 3rd floor apartment. Secure building. Nobody should have been close enough. Curiosity got the better of me. I accepted. The image opened instantly. At first it looked like a normal photograph. Then I realized what I was looking at. My apartment building. Taken from the street outside. The picture was dark and grainy but unmistakable. My building. My entrance. My front door. I sat up immediately. Heart beating a little faster. Maybe somebody had sent it to the wrong person. Maybe it was a prank. Then another AirDrop request arrived. Same sender. I accepted again. The second image loaded. This one showed the side of the building. Closer. Much closer. The angle suggested the photographer had walked around the property. My chest tightened. Then another request arrived. And another. Each photograph got closer. 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 Like someone approaching. The 4th image showed the entrance lobby. The 5th showed the staircase. The 6th showed my floor. I froze. Because nobody should have been able to access the building without a key. Yet whoever was taking the photos clearly had. I jumped out of bed and checked the peephole. The hallway outside was empty. Silent. Nothing moved. Then my phone buzzed again. Another AirDrop request. I stared at it for several seconds. Then accepted. The image loaded. My stomach dropped instantly. It showed my apartment door. Taken from directly outside. The timestamp showed it had been taken less than 10 seconds earlier. I backed away from the peephole. Heart hammering. The hallway was still empty. No footsteps. No voices. Nothing. Another request appeared. The sender name changed. Open the door. I declined it immediately. Another request appeared. Same name. Same photo. I declined again. Then another. And another. The requests wouldn't stop. Eventually I turned AirDrop off entirely. The notifications disappeared. Silence returned. I sat awake for almost an hour listening for movement outside. Nothing happened. Eventually exhaustion won. I fell asleep. The next morning everything felt ridiculous. Like I'd overreacted. No damage. No signs anyone had been there. No evidence. Until I checked my photos. The AirDropped images were still saved. Every single one. including the picture of my door. I zoomed in. That's when I noticed something I'd missed. A reflection, very faint, visible in the metal door number. The photographer, or at least part of them, a dark figure holding a phone. Nothing identifiable, just enough to prove somebody had taken the picture. That evening I contacted building management. They reviewed the CCTV. According to them, nobody had entered the building during the night. No visitors. No residents moving around. Nothing. The footage showed completely empty hallways. I asked about my floor specifically. They checked. Still nothing. No one outside my apartment. No one near my door. The camera never recorded a single person. That should have reassured me. Instead, it made things worse. Because somebody had clearly taken the photographs. A week passed. Then two. Nothing happened. I convinced myself it was over. Until one Saturday afternoon. I was sitting in a crowded coffee shop working on an assignment when my phone buzzed. AirDrop request. My stomach dropped immediately. Same sender. No name. No number. Just unknown sender. Against my better judgment, I accepted. The image loaded. It was a photograph of me, sitting in the coffee shop, taken from somewhere inside. My pulse quickened. I looked around. Dozens of people. Students. Workers. Families. Nobody stood out. Then another request arrived. This image showed the back of my chair, taken even closer. Then another. My laptop screen. Then another. The side of my face. Each photograph getting closer and closer. I stood up immediately, scanning the entire cafe. Nobody reacted. Nobody looked guilty. Nobody even looked interested. Then the final AirDrop request arrived. The sender name had changed. I stared at the screen. My chest felt cold. The sender was now called. Shared with you before. I accepted. The image opened. It wasn't taken in the cafe. It wasn't taken outside. It wasn't even recent. The photograph showed me sleeping in my bed, taken from inside my apartment. The timestamp read, 3 months earlier. Underneath sat a caption. Just 4 words. Check your old photos. Story 3. Decline. I never accepted the AirDrop. That's what bothered me most. Because whatever happened afterward shouldn't have been possible. It started during a flight delay. I was stuck in an airport for nearly 5 hours. The departure boards kept changing. Gate delays. Schedule updates. The usual chaos. Eventually I found an empty charging station near a quiet corner of the terminal and sat down to wait. Around me were maybe 20 people. Most staring at phones. Some sleeping. Nobody memorable. I plugged my phone in and opened YouTube. A few minutes later my screen lit up. AirDrop request. Unknown sender. I rolled my eyes. Airports are full of people sending random AirDrops. Usually memes. Occasionally weird selfies. I hit decline immediately. The request vanished. Problem solved. Then another appeared. Same sender. I declined again. 10 seconds later. Another. My stomach tightened slightly. Whoever was sending them clearly wasn't doing it by accident. I kept declining. The requests kept coming. Eventually the sender name changed. Why not? I stared at the screen, then looked around the terminal. Nobody seemed interested in me. Nobody was even looking in my direction. I declined again. The request disappeared. A minute later my phone vibrated. Not an AirDrop this time. A notification. No app. No logo. Just text. That's rude. My stomach tightened. The message vanished before I could tap it. I checked every notification setting. Nothing unusual. No unknown apps. No permissions. Everything looked normal. Then another AirDrop request arrived. The sender name now read, just 1 photo. I declined. Immediately. Then another request. Please. Decline. Then. Look at it. Decline. The requests finally stopped. I felt relieved. Until 20 minutes later. Because that's when I received my first photograph. Not through AirDrop. Inside my camera roll. My stomach dropped instantly. I definitely hadn't taken it. The image showed the airport terminal. Specifically, the area where I was sitting, taken from somewhere above, like a CCTV camera. I checked the details. No sender. No download information. Nothing. The photo simply existed in my gallery. Then another appeared. A few minutes later. This one was closer. The angle lower. Closer to my seating area. Then another. Closer again. I looked around the airport. Nothing seemed wrong. People continued walking. Flights continued boarding. Everything felt normal. Except for the growing collection of photographs appearing on my phone. Each one moving closer. Each one showing me. Then another image appeared. This time the photographer was behind me. Close enough to see my phone screen. My chest tightened. I stood up immediately. Scanning the terminal. Nobody reacted. Nobody stood nearby. Nothing. Then my phone buzzed. Another image. The back of my head. Taken seconds earlier. I felt genuinely sick. The photographs continued for the next hour. Each appearing automatically. Each getting closer. Eventually my flight boarding announcement finally appeared. I grabbed my bag and headed toward the gate. Halfway there another photo appeared. This one showed me walking through the terminal. Then another. Standing in the boarding queue. Then another. Walking down the jet bridge. Whoever was taking them was somehow keeping pace with me. Without ever being seen. I boarded the aircraft. Found my seat. Tried convincing myself it would stop once the doors closed. Instead my phone vibrated again. A new photograph appeared. The image showed the cabin. Passengers finding seats. Flight attendants preparing for departure. Taken from several rows behind me. My chest tightened painfully. I turned around immediately. Nothing. Normal passengers. Normal flight. Nobody holding up a phone. Then another image appeared. Closer. Then another. Closer still. I switched my phone to airplane mode. The photograph stopped instantly. Finally. For the rest of the flight nothing happened. I relaxed. Started feeling stupid for panicking. Maybe some bizarre bug. Maybe malware. Maybe something explainable. When the plane landed, I disabled airplane mode. The moment signal returned, 37 new photos appeared simultaneously. My stomach dropped. Every single photograph had been taken during the flight, while my phone was offline. While no connection existed, the images showed me sleeping, reading, watching a movie, looking out the window. Hours of photographs, taken from somewhere inside the aircraft. Then I reached the final image. The last photograph wasn't of me. It was an empty seat, directly beside mine. A seat that had remained vacant for the entire flight. Underneath sat a caption. Just 3 words. You declined. Then another line appeared. Next time, accept. Story 4. Everyone. I changed the setting because of the first AirDrop. After the train incident, I switched AirDrop from contacts only to everyone. Not because I wanted random files. Because I wanted to catch whoever had been sending them. I figured if it happened again, I'd be ready. That turned out to be a terrible idea. It happened 3 weeks later. I was sitting in the university library, middle of the afternoon, busy enough to feel safe. Dozens of students, laptops everywhere, people talking quietly. Normal. I was working on coursework when my phone buzzed. AirDrop request. Unknown sender. My stomach tightened immediately. The preview showed a video file. Not a photo. A video. I hesitated. Then accepted. The clip loaded. 10 seconds long. No sound. The footage showed a university library. Not unusual. Then I realized it was this library. The exact library. The camera slowly panned across rows of desks. Students. Bookshelves. Computers. Then it stopped. Directly on me. The video ended. I looked around immediately. Nobody seemed interested. Nobody was filming. Nobody was even looking in my direction. Then another AirDrop request appeared. Same sender. Another video. This one showed me entering the library earlier that day. Taken from outside. The timestamp confirmed it. Whoever recorded it had been watching me before I even came inside. My chest tightened. Then another request appeared. I accepted again. The third video showed me sitting in a lecture 2 days earlier. Different building, different location, then another. A train station, then another. A supermarket. Every clip had one thing in common. I never noticed the camera. I never noticed the person filming. Yet somebody had clearly been following me. 4 days, maybe weeks. I turned AirDrop off immediately. Problem solved. Or so I thought. Around an hour later, my friend messaged me. Just one sentence. "Why are people airdropping videos of you?" My stomach dropped. I called him immediately. He sounded confused. Apparently he'd received one of the clips. Not from me. From an unknown AirDrop sender. I asked who else got it. He didn't know. Then another message arrived. Different friend. Same question. Then another. And another. Within 20 minutes I had 6 messages. Every one of them had received a video showing me. My chest felt cold. Because AirDrop shouldn't work like that. People nearby can send files. But not to random people scattered across campus. Yet somehow these videos were spreading. By evening things got worse. Students I didn't know started staring, whispering, looking away when I noticed. One girl actually asked if I was okay. I asked why. She hesitated, then showed me her phone. A video. Me. Walking home the previous night. I felt sick. The caption underneath read, "Watching since April." I had never seen that video before. There were dozens of comments, dozens of shares, people discussing where I'd been, where I studied, what time I usually left campus. The account that posted it didn't exist anymore. Deleted. Gone. The next morning I contacted university security. They searched everywhere. Nothing. No account. No uploads. No reports. No source. By lunchtime every video had disappeared. Completely. Like they'd never existed. That should have been reassuring. Instead it made things worse. Because people still remembered them. Then around 9 p.m. my phone buzzed again. AirDrop request. I nearly threw the phone. The sender name was different this time. Not unknown sender. Not a random phrase. Just one word. Everyone. The preview showed a single photograph. Against my better judgment, I accepted. The image opened. My stomach dropped instantly. It showed a crowded lecture hall. Hundreds of students. The photograph had been taken from the back of the room. At first it looked normal. Then I zoomed in. Every single student was looking directly at the camera. Except one. Me. I was looking down at my laptop. Completely unaware. Underneath the image sat a caption. Just 5 words. "You're the last one." I immediately closed it. Blocked AirDrop. Disabled everything. Then I checked the photo details. The timestamp showed the image had been taken tomorrow. Not today. Tomorrow. A full 20 hours in the future. The next morning I skipped university completely. Stayed home. Locked the door. Ignored messages. Around lunchtime my phone buzzed one final time. Not an AirDrop request. Just a notification. No app. No sender. No logo. Only text. Attendance confirmed. Then another line appeared underneath. Everyone received it except you. Story 5. Contact name. The AirDrop request came from my own phone. At least, that's what it looked like. I was sitting at home on a Sunday evening. Nothing unusual. Just watching YouTube and trying to avoid coursework. The apartment was quiet. No visitors. No roommates. Nobody else around. Then my phone buzzed. AirDrop request. I glanced down casually. Then froze. Because the sender name wasn't unknown sender. It wasn't random. It wasn't strange. It was my own contact name. The exact name that appeared whenever I connected devices. The exact name visible in my Apple account settings. For a few seconds I genuinely thought it was a bug. Some weird software glitch. Then I noticed something else. The profile picture attached to the request was correct too. My profile picture. My account. Everything. The preview showed a single photo. I accepted. The image opened. It was a screenshot of my home screen. Nothing unusual. Except for one detail. The battery percentage. My screenshot showed 81%. My actual phone displayed 86%. The screenshot couldn't have been taken recently, yet the time visible in the corner matched exactly, down to the minute. My stomach tightened. Then another AirDrop request appeared, again from my own contact. Again I accepted. The second image loaded. This time it showed my Messages app, conversations, group chats, friends, family, everything. The strange part, one conversation sat at the top. A contact called ME. I stared at it. I didn't have a conversation called ME. The screenshot clearly did. Then another request appeared. Third image. The conversation opened. Only one message existed. Sent from ME. The message read, "Don't accept the next one." My chest tightened. I checked the timestamp. The screenshot had supposedly been taken 5 minutes in the future. I immediately looked at the clock, then waited. 5 minutes passed. Exactly. My phone buzzed. Another AirDrop request. From my own contact. The preview contained a video. Remembering the warning, I declined. The request vanished. For about 10 seconds. Then it returned. Same sender. Same video. I declined again. The request came back. Again. 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 Eventually I switched AirDrop off entirely. The request stopped. Relieved, I put my phone down. Then another notification appeared. Not AirDrop. A photo saved directly into my camera roll. My stomach dropped. The image showed my living room, taken from behind me. I spun around instantly. Nobody there. Nothing. The apartment remained silent. Then another image appeared. This one showed my bedroom, then the kitchen, then the hallway. Every room in the apartment, photographed from impossible angles, as if somebody had walked through the flat taking pictures. My chest felt tight. I checked doors, windows, locks, everything secure, nothing disturbed. Then another image appeared, a screenshot, the same conversation from before. The contact named ME. A new message had appeared. You declined it. Then another. That was a mistake. I factory reset AirDrop, logged out of my Apple account, changed passwords, everything. Nothing helped. The screenshots kept appearing. Over the next week, more messages arrived, always through screenshots, never directly, always from the contact named ME. The messages grew stranger. Some referenced things I hadn't done yet. Some referenced places I planned to visit. A few predicted conversations before they happened. Most were vague. A handful were accurate enough to be unsettling. Then one night I received the final screenshot. The conversation contained only a single message. Sent by ME. Check your contact card. My stomach tightened. Slowly, I opened my own contact information. Everything looked normal. Phone number, email, profile photo. Then I noticed a second phone number listed underneath. A number I'd never seen before. No label, no explanation, just a number. I called it. The line connected immediately. No ringing, no greeting, just silence. Then I heard breathing. Very faint, very distant. I was about to hang up when a voice finally spoke. The voice was mine. Not similar, not close. Mine. Exactly mine. It only said one sentence. You should have accepted the video. The call ended. I deleted the number immediately. The next morning it was back. Still attached to my contact card. Still saved under my name. And underneath it, a new field had appeared. AirDrop name, secondary device. I've never owned a secondary device. Every day, millions of people receive files from strangers. A photo, a video, a random request they instantly decline. And most of the time, nothing happens. The notification disappears. The sender vanishes. And life carries on. But sometimes a file arrives that shouldn't exist. A photo taken before it happened. A request sent from your own phone. A message from someone close enough to connect, but impossible to find. Because sometimes, the scariest thing isn't opening the file. It's wondering who was nearby enough to send it. There are more stories like this on my channel. if you're willing to keep accepting. Subscribe if you think you can handle the next one. I'll see you again, assuming you don't receive an airdrop request tonight.